We are live. Welcome to a special NBA trade deadline show here on the Basketball Zone Cowbell Kingdom YouTube channel. I'm with my boys Ty and Javi. Before we get into all of the Kings moves, by the way, I'm wearing my note-taking shirt. Get your merch in the bio. But before we get into all of the Kings moves, I want to briefly ask you guys who you thought were the biggest winners, not named. Obviously, the Kings weren't the biggest winners, but anybody else but the Kings in like 1 or 2 minutes. And let's start off with Javi.
For sure, Chicago. They got Vucevic to pair with Levine. They didn't have to give up a lot of assets. Their capital they gave up obviously can be minuscule depending on where they finish in the standings with their first-round draft selection in the coming 2021 and 2022 NBA draft. They obviously keep Kobe White. They kept marketing for whatever reason, but hey, that's a plus with Vucevic. And in the day, they didn't have to let go of anything substantial outside of expiring Otto Porter. And then they also kept Thaddeus Young, and they put Wendell Carter, who's been an NSL player. And, obviously 2 first-round picks were what Orlando really wanted for Vucevic. But overall, at the end of the day, I feel like they're a winner, big winner.
100%. I'd have to agree. I think I'll give my 3 picks in no particular order. So I think Chicago definitely took a W, and they're definitely going all in for a playoff push. I mean, you add an all-star center and Nikola Vucevic to pair alongside Zach LaVine. I don't think you can be upset about that. And also, they didn't give up too much. I think Norman Powell was definitely a very underrated signing. I think he can offer a lot off the bench for Portland. I think these last few years they've been looking for that wing off the bench. When they traded for Trevor Ariza, I want to say last year. Having guys in the past like Mo Harkless, Rodney Hood. They're just searching for that backup 3 that can really help them out. And so Carmelo Anthony definitely has been solid for them, but adding a guy like Norman Powell definitely makes Portland real contenders in the West. And I think lastly, a very underrated signing, and a lot of people expected this move to happen in the past summer, Rajon Rondo to the Los Angeles Clippers. And now they have a true point guard that can actually help facilitate and get guys open like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And I think especially what Rondo was able to do last year with the Lakers, I can definitely see him emulating it with the Clippers. So we'll see about that.
That's so funny because I thought the Hawks were the winners of that deal.
Really?
Lou Williams going to the Hawks to me is big time. I'm not a Rajon Rondo fan, I'll be honest. I think if he doesn't have an Anthony Davis type guy, then it's going to be tough for him to be truly effective, and he doesn't have that with the Clippers. So I understand the idea of having this facilitator guard, but at the end of the day, they were trying to go for Lonzo Ball. They didn't have enough assets to get that done, and they kind of went with Plan B, which was Rajon Rondo. They had interest in him at the beginning of the summer. There were a lot of rumors with him going to the Clippers. It didn't happen for whatever reason. He went to the Hawks. He signed there for big money, and now he's taking that contract onto the Clippers. But, yeah, I'm not that big of a fan of that deal. I think Lou provided that offensive spark that team needs. Like, that team, when it's all said and done, say Paul George isn't having a good game, Lou Williams, that's where he's going to go and be very effective. But now the Hawks have a nice veteran who can score off the bench, and there won't be that drastic of a drop-off when Trae Young does go to the bench now. So I really like that move for the Atlanta Hawks. So let's get to the Kings real fast. Last night, DeLon Wright gets traded to the Kings for Kojo and 2 second-round picks. I think we all agree that we love the deal on so many levels, and we'll get into some advanced statistics that I have for you guys and for everybody on the show a little bit later. But we really like that move. Now, the second move of the Sacramento Kings under this new regime, Monte McNair and co., they traded Nemanja Bjelica for Chris Silva and a guy that I believe Ty really likes in Mo Harkless, I think. So
I feel like Mo Harkless is solid. He's proven in previous seasons that he can, fill a good stretch 4 role, but obviously it didn't work out in Miami, which is, kind of I guess, concerning. But I mean, honestly, if we can add more wing guys to this team, and especially just for Bielitsa, who was on an expiring contract, we weren't playing, I don't see why not, take a chance on that potential.
Did you like that move, Javi?
The reason why I liked it is because we're not going to re-sign Nemanja Bjelica. Most importantly, he just wasn't in the rotation with the philosophy, I feel like, of this team. McNair wants athleticism, length, and versatility on this particular roster going forward in the future. Bjelica is a stretch four, a lot of guy that can shoot from the perimeter horribly defensively in regards to just his horrible defensive skill set. But that's just something we knew coming in when they signed him that 3-year deal 3 years ago. He's I'd say above average offensive player that obviously shoots lights out, but he has some flaws, but also some pluses in his game and interior that he presents on the floor consistently offensively for the Kings. But overall, we see what Harkless as well as Silva can do for us to make a playoff push for this final top 10 race to get into this tournament for the play-in. But understand this deal, along with the other two, shows us one thing: the Kings aren't in it to tank. They're not in it to just fold. Most importantly, they're in it to win. And all them tanking fans, shut your mouth. They didn't make these moves to lose. They didn't acquire 3-4 guards and a power forward and a future center to tank. So that's out. That's over with. That's why the past has been like it is, and McNair's here, and that's over with. That's done. I don't want to hear about no more tanking, because if they were tanking, Barnes, Hield, and Holmes would be gone. Where y'all at? Where's the draft at? Where all y'all tanking fans at? That's over with. It's gone, bro. You can't do none of that. So be quiet.
You know what would be extremely funny and disappointing is that if they don't make the playing game and they don't get a high draft pick, and then we're all gonna be like, "Damn, that's NBA purgatory for you." No, but yes, this does show that the Kings are actively buyers right at the deadline. They now have depth, which they did not to coming into the season. There are so many levels, so many things going through my head that I just want to just throw it out there. But we gonna have to go step by step before we get into all that and into this idea that Monte McNair chose this route is very interesting, because from all the reports early on when he first stepped in, he talked about flexibility, and in a sense we had that gut that he would, in a sense, trade HB, try and trade Buddy, and just get rid of these guys to create his own team. And we saw the complete different, story here. Now, is there a little bit of Vivek and maybe Joe Dumars and maybe a Neil kind of meddling here and saying, no, we have to go for this plan? There might be some of that. Honestly, like, from what I've heard from specific people that I trust, that could be a thing, and them not allowing Monte to do what he wants. Then you hear the opposite stuff, which is, no, this is what Monte wanted to do. At the end of the day, even if that is true, or there's some truth to Vivek wanting or meddling into this entire equation, who's going to take the blame? Monte McNair. Like, no matter what, he took this job to be the guy in charge, and he took the job to take the success and or failure blame for whatever happens with this team. Now, does it kind of disappoint me if he wanted to tank to some extent? Yes, because the last thing I want is for Vivek to continue to meddle and to get in the way of basketball operations. So if that would ever come to light as a fact, then that would disappoint me a lot. Even if tanking isn't what I would prefer, but I rather prefer the GM to have complete control to either succeed or to fail. Any thoughts on that, Ty?
I mean, I completely agree. I know what was a few years ago when Vivek was trying to play 4-on-1 and publicly came out with that, right? So it doesn't reflect well on the Sacramento Kings when, our owner is making statements like that. I completely agree with your point, Leo. I think, we brought in McNair and we should give him the complete freedom. We talked at the beginning of the season in terms of whether to terminate Luke Walton or not, and that decision should be fully up to McNair. I think thus far he's proven that, he's willing to make moves and smart moves as well. Obviously, his best move thus far was being able to steal Tyrese Halliburton at 12. All these good bench players for basically all these accumulated second-round picks that Vlade Divac has, at least he's doing something with it now. So So I think moving forward, hopefully McNair can make more moves. I think to kind of address a little bit of Javi's point in terms of telling the tankers to shut up, I just think that I would have much rather seen Sacramento snag a guy like Vucevic so that we can definitely, validate ourselves as true, playoff contenders, which is unfortunate. But I mean, we did definitely upgrade our bench. So I think we're going all in with kind of like this small starting lineup that we have right now. And so we won the last 4 or 5. So hopefully we can keep it going.
Okay, well, is it okay for me to chime in real quick? Because this is what I have to say. And it's real simple. 2 things. Vucevic is somebody that we could have acquired, but this is how I reason why they didn't do what they did. For one, Vivek wanted to go 4-on-5, which is highly incompetent. Number 2, the reason why we can't sit there and say that these were moves that were pushed by ownership as well as Joe Dumars is because they don't have the acumen to find the players that McNair found. They're not diamonds in the rough, but they're definitely some steals. They're definitely some like, hey man, that's a come up. Like you do some dirt and put a little bit of lipstick on it, and you got it back and nice solid sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? Like they found some good. I'm not saying diamond in the rough, but again, they definitely did their due diligence, and that's McNair, not just acquisition, but expertise. I don't see Joe Dumars and Vivek finding, what they found in the DeLon Wright deal, or getting the player they got Davis from Toronto, or making the Miami deal. They probably send Bielitsa back for a 3rd round pick, and there is no third round pick. There's no 3rd round pick. That's a Vivek deal in my estimation. Thirdly, with that, clear, irrational, philosophy that Vivek knows basketball, because we know he doesn't. He's just a billionaire, owns a team. Rightfully so, but again, he's not a guy
smart.
that knows. Yeah, he's smart in his own sense, in his own world, but not in the basketball world. That's a proven fact. And that's why the Kings have made the playoffs for 8 consecutive years, and he knows what he knows, and let the basketball operation specialists do what they're doing as GMs, etc.
But Javi, real quick,
but my main is
like Javi, real quick, just to give Vivek some credit, he did hire Mike Malone, and
he did fire him.
Right.
They did fire him for no reason.
And he did hire Dave Yeager. So the 2 most competent coaches were his hires, not his GM hires. And obviously, people got in the way. There was a lot of drama going on. And again, he's very easily.
I mean, there's no other way to write. There's no way to say it right now.
At least give him credit for those hires. Now, we also got to give him a discredit for listening to other people and being easily influenced by making those rational decisions. But he had a hunch to hire the right guys, which is extremely funny when you talk about him making these insane statements publicly, right? So it's not like he didn't make these hires. He did make those hires. He just didn't go through with it to actually see it develop. But go ahead.
This is the only thing I have to say to that is that, yeah, he might have made the hires in the day. The right decision is also just as bad as the wrong decision. He fired he fired Malone because of what? He had a man in Chris Mullin in his ear. Chris Mullin is a warrior. I mean, why does he even care what he has to say?
Vlade fired Dave.
No, I said Malone. I said Malone.
Right.
I said Malone. In 2014, when I was in college playing college football, I remember at Whittier, I'm like, why is he getting fired? Because they're going 12. They went 12-18, but they were like 12-11 or so. And then DeMarcus caught the stomach virus, and then they fire Dave Yeager. Their first season that they finished with above 35 wins in 12-13 years. And Vivek obviously supplanted the decision to Vlade. But at the end of the day, that's still his decision. He's the owner. He can say, no, we haven't had this much success since the mid-2000s. Like, Bonzi Wells was on this roster last time they were good. My main point is this before you guys can divulge the conversation. McNair watched what Houston did with that small ball lineup, and I feel like he can have a representation of that. He wants a replicate version in some aspects, but also including the big man they should have kept in Capella. If they would have kept Capella last year, I feel like they would have been a lot closer than they were. And that's with Rajon Holmes. I'm not saying Rajon Holmes is Clint Capella. I'm saying if they wanted to go full Houston, they would have got rid of Rajon. But they say, hey, we can run Harris at the 4 and try Buddy at the 3. Halliburton to 2 with 2 ball handlers. Like, they had Westbrook and Harden, but, definitely the game's different. But the whole aspect of 2 point guards in their backcourt, because Halliburton is a true point guard at 6'5", Fox their MVP and Harden, not the same player, but the same idea. And Holmes is the Capella to that Houston team. And they're going to say, we're going to run that. We're going to improve our bench with Davis, with Harkless, with DeLon Wright, and even see what Silva can bring us in the future. We still have, Jeffries. We kept Jeffries, and we're going to see, Justin James, if whatever they keep giving him minutes, as well as Hassan Whiteside. So that's how I see what they did overall. Try to improve their bench, and try and get in the top 10.
Any thoughts to that and what I said, Ty?
I mean, I definitely see both of you guys' perspectives. I think, it is difficult when you have, in a sense, an incompetent owner basketball-wise when he's trying to stick it things like that. But with that being said, I think I'm personally a little bit more grateful for Vivek for the fact that he even bought this team and kept his team in Sacramento. Right, I remember that last game when we lost to the freaking Lakers, and I was like, "Dude, no way!" I was like, just about to cry, seeing like Francisco Garcia, you know what I mean, just walking on that court, man. And so, with that being said, though, obviously doesn't give him a reason to try to put his hands in the basketball aspect of it. But I mean, we're still here in Sacramento. We have a new arena, so hopefully the future's bright.
Hopefully the future is bright, and that's what we want. And it's obvious that they had some say because with all the vaccines going on, I have a hunch that we may have NBA basketball at Golden One hopefully soon, even if it's at 10%. Now, I'm not guaranteeing this. I just feel like I have a hunch that we may have that, and maybe they would have thought and be like, oh, well, we might have fans. It'll be cool to make that run. But then you talk about short-term success versus long-term success. But even with these players that they got today, some of them are young still, right? But they're not on long-term deals. So you're still going to have that flexibility, which we'll get into the whole cap, which, again, we're not experts by any means, and we don't fully understand the cap like a capologist, like a Bobby Marks type guy who just noses left and right, a former GM. We'll have that. I'm going to bring on my guy, Drake Huey, who was in the front office for the Sacramento Kings last year. Maybe today, tonight, or tomorrow, so he can explain it a little bit better. But in terms of salary and what this means for Rajon Holmes, we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But this team got deeper, and they still have some flexibility to some extent. Obviously, they could have cut Kojo for $2 million next year, and now they got to pay DeLon $8 million, which, again, they added $6 million to their cap. But when you think about backup just guards at $8 million for a guy like DeLon Wright, who is a really solid player, and we'll get into the advanced metrics right now, that's a hell of a deal, especially when you're Sacramento. It's like Sacramento doesn't get these type of players. Like, they paid $13 million for Kojo. Come on. So you get a DeLon Wright at 8. So I completely understand that they're really going to make that push next year. But they are kind of in a strange, tough situation if they plan on keeping Rajon Holmes. Now, my only thing that I think that Monte is thinking is he might have to make a move on draft night, which typically is always before free agency. So if he can clear up some space, if his intent is to trade Bagley and clear up some space, then he might have to do it then, because as of right now, as of last night, the Kings are only able to offer Rajon Holmes $10.5 million or like under $12 million, which is like at 11.7. For whatever reason, again, I don't fully understand the cap, but those are facts. So they are in a tough predicament, because I think the most they can offer him is $47 million for over 4 years, and somebody can come in and say, well, I'll give him 4 years, $50 million. And unfortunately, he probably won't give Sacktown a Sacktown break or a hometown discount. He's probably going to walk to whoever offers him the most money. But one thing that they do have as an advantage, per se, is that not everyone has that much cap space. So they could get lucky, but I still think 4 years, 50, if someone can outbid him like that, then he's probably going to walk. Any thoughts on that, Ty?
I mean, we talked about it a little bit off air, but I mean, keep Rajon Holmes at any cost, man.
Right.
You need the guy. I mean, we definitely got to see last night, what he's able to offer in the fourth quarter. And what I'm pretty sure the commentators say, isn't he leading the NBA in field goal percentage right now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Exactly. And so when you have a guy like that on a team in Sacramento that wants to be in Sacramento, pay the man. And I know we're talking about it even more off air in terms of, man, even if we have to just ship a guy like Marvin Bagley out for basically a bag of peanuts, I'm more than willing to do that just to make the salary cap work. I mean, ideally, I hope we could get a move done with the combo of Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, a trade like that, and so hopefully freeing up more cap space in that retrospect. But ultimately, yeah, man, I just would love to have Rajon Holmes back. He does so much for this team. You know, I feel like even outside of basketball, he just is like the heart and soul of this team, and he's always, playing hard every single night. So that's my thoughts on that.
Shout out to the city of Houston because they literally have lost their starting NFL quarterback, and he's not coming back. They got rid of James Harden, and they just lost Victor Oladipo for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a pick swap. What a bad day to be a Houston. And their baseball team are nothing but cheaters. What a bad day to be a Houston sports. Goodness gracious. Did you see that trade? They caught Victor Oladipo's talent and found a way to get the minuscule pick swap and Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley. What a day to be a GM in Houston. Gosh, talk about McNair getting out there at the right time, the right place. Gosh, what a dud GM they're having right now. Apparently assembled in Houston. Sheesh, McGee's. Wanamaker went to the Hornets. But, man, I don't want to hear Kings fans talking about it because I hear you on the Bagley thing, but let's not be like that, man. They literally are being laughed at. They got Oladipo, and they could have kept LeVert, which could be us. We could have got Luka, and we got Bagley. And they got rid of Oladipo.
But they got rid of Oladipo for almost nothing. So just imagine what
they got Oladipo
just imagine what Bagley's worth.
Bro, Oladipo was just traded for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk and a pick swap. They didn't even get a first-round pick out of Oladipo. That is horrible.
So Marvin Bagley's probably worth like a third-round pick, right, Lavi?
No, Vivek, he probably traded for a 10th-round pick. There's no 10th round in the NBA draft. Who knows? I know this. If they were as down on him as they say, they would have traded him. I know they might say there's no value for him, but if they're like, hey man, I don't care, I'm just gonna cut my losses. No, they're like, nah, you know what? We're gonna use this asset no matter what. 15, 20 GMs think there's one dummy out there that'll give us something we want in 8 months. We're in March. In December of next year, when he has a halfway good start to the NBA season, like, all right, he's averaging 18 and 10 for the last 15 games. Let's strike a deal now. You know what I mean? Like,
in order to make that gamble, though, we're not going to have Rajon Holmes by December.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You have to make that
you're presuming that they're going to keep all their players in their roster. You're not. That's you got to understand too. Like, not all them players in this roster are going to be there next year. They can clear space, trade players, have a trade exception, etc. Like, yeah, currently presumed and the way they're constructed, they cannot technically sign Rajon for what he's going to ask. But this is not a final product. Come June, McNair made 4 moves in 12 hours? Like, the game, Joseph's gone. Then he gets Delon Wright. Then he gets Harkless for Bielitsa in the morning. And then he gets Davis. And then before all that happened, he went and made the 4th move. 2 days ago, he made that first move out of 4 for getting that LA Clippers power forward. I can't pronounce his name correctly. But, they made 4 moves in about 2 days and made 3 in 12 hours. I mean, he definitely did what he could for not alleviating their future, not trading future assets, but not getting ripped off, but also taking some talent that can help us on the bench. And he didn't have to change anything in the starting lineup. Like, I think it's a win-win for Sacramento. Obviously, it's not the home run, but we hit a double and we got 2 singles. Like, and I'll take it. I think the last move or the first move rather is a to be determined. The power forward they got from LA, because we really don't know who he is. I feel like Davis and I feel like Harkless were singles, and I feel like Delon Wright was a double. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah, but again, like you said, and like we've said, it's tough to think that they're going to sign Holmes because they just don't have that money, man. And it's going to be hard to move Buddy unless his buddy goes crazy, right? And
you playing it late, right, Leo?
I mean, that's my boy. So I hope he goes crazy. Like, I hope he goes even crazier. He's been playing it really well the last 12 games. Averaging well over 40% from beyond the arc on 10, 11 attempts. That's super high volume, super high efficiency. He's not turning the ball over that much. And, yeah, he's scoring at a high clip. If he averages 17 to 20 a game, which I don't see happening in the second half because now we do have depth. So now he may not play the amount of minutes that he was playing, which could be a good thing because now he can focus more on what he's good at, which is high-volume three-point shooting. Now you integrate a really good playmaker in DeLon Wright and the guy who can put the ball in the basket in Terence Davis. So you have that punch now to be able to utilize to your advantage. And one thing that nobody is really talking about, which I kind of want to get into, is what excuse is Luke Walton going to have now to not try and elevate this team to the next level? He now finally has the right pieces, at least in my opinion, in terms of depth. He always had a solid starting five, but again, it was always hard to go to the bench and play Kojo 30 minutes a night or etc. Now he has two really good guards off the bench, and he has a swing power forward, right, in Mo Harkless, and he has a speed five in Silva. I'm pretty sure they're going to buy out Hassan Whiteside because I think they have too many players with after all these trades. They'll probably buy out Jabari Parker as well. And I'm just intrigued to see what Luke's going to do with this team now.
I got two things. Buddy Hield's averaging 20.6 in the whole month of March. That is something that is invaluable to show
he's playing
progression in this season as he's improved upon his early struggles in the season. But as a close friend of mine, Professor C, told me, they have a very, very, very interesting scenario here. With the likes of DeLon Wright, Davis, Jeffries, Mo Harkless, Whiteside. You said Jabari Parker going to be bought out.
Whiteside going to be bought out.
Whiteside be bought out because they also have the Clippers power forward. What I want to know is this. Do you find a way to potentially, this is just my opinion, do you find a way to convince, in any estimation, to let DeLon Wright possibly start? Or do you think that there's no, just because who are we going to have off the bench that can consistently, I mean, the players we got are some good, solid defensive players, athletic, but I just feel like, do we consider that fabric? Because now we have some length. Even if it's not DeLon Wright, do you put Harkless at the three? I'm just saying what you guys think. You know what I mean? Do you guys even consider that? Because they could really help us defensively on the perimeter as a starting unit and let Buddy come off the bench. There's just no way because they're good with what they have. I'm just wondering what you guys think because, you know, we're definitely undersized on the perimeter with our versatility with our wings. Do you think Harkless or even DeLon Wright? I mean, I don't know. He's not really.
So do you want to bring Buddy off the bench?
I'm seeing what you guys think of the possibility, or are you just set with the DeLon Wright, Jeffries, Harkless, the power forward from the Clippers, and Whiteside bench with Davis included?
So I think we stay put with the starting lineup. I do see possibilities of maybe Luke Walton trying it out. Let's say Buddy's having a really bad night, you know, going super small and just basically playing three guards. But I think a very sleeper player that we got, and I know a lot of Toronto fans were upset about giving him away for a second-round pick, was Terence Davis. I mean, he's up, but he's also down sometimes, and a lot of them are knocking him for his defense, just basically being a defensive liability. But at the same time, when he played in his rookie year, he was a huge sleeper, and I think that I said it before off air. I think it could be similar to a Kevin Porter situation. Is he Kevin Porter? Most likely not. But I mean, when you're just trading a second-round pick, I mean, right, the sky's the limit at that point. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Terence Davis starts getting more opportunity and can maybe even sneak into that starting lineup a couple nights in case injury happens.
So you say Davis would be the guy you want to potentially start at the three?
Yeah, potentially. But he's small. What's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, I say, what are his vitals?
Like 2-3, bro. 2-3 in today's NBA. Like you saying a 3 or a 2 to me is just interchangeable basketball terminology. At the end of the day, it's going to be all matchup based, right? If you're going to have a backcourt like De'Aaron Fox and Ty said, well, point guard, shooting guard, it doesn't matter. You put your best guys out there, or now you have the flexibility to play any of these guards. You're going to play a lot of these three-guard lineups, honestly, because DeLon Wright, Terence Davis, those are guards. But in today's NBA, you're playing the 1, 2, and the 3. So let's just put a stop to the categorizing guys as a 3 or as a 4, as a 5. Silva, he's not that tall, but as my good friend, Coach Rafa Dor from the Miami Heat told me, he's a speed 5. He's a center, and he has that strength. He's going to bring it every single night. Nobody will play harder than him. So I can't imagine practices. Well, there aren't much practices, but if there were, him and Rashawn Holmes would just be going at it. So that's the type of environment that you want to create. The same environment similar to what we had in the golden years, right? With Vlade, with Thunderbird, with Scott Pollard, guys who can, Bobby Jackson, who lights a fire under Mike Bibby's ass because he knew that Bobby was really good. That's the type of competition that you want now. Buddy, yes, he was looking over his shoulder when he saw Tyrese play, but now they're playing together. So now there's this added competition element that I'm going to love to see. And now these guys better be on their A game because they're fighting for a job, man.
Ty?
100%. I think, creating a winning culture here in Sacramento is something that we haven't had in a long time. I mean, yeah, hopefully Chris Silva, likes even a bigger fire under Rashawn Holmes, not like he needs it anymore because, he's already that fiery in itself. And so just adding this depth overall, and I'm definitely excited to see, this whole transition into seeing what we can do with this new depth.
Let's put the rat on the table, though, fellas. We know, as well as every Kings fan out there, we had the ammunition to get Vucevic, man. He's 31 and he's a little older, but we really could have pulled the Healed, Barnes, and 2 future firsts and got him, and then probably even doing Terrence Ross or something of that ilk to make the salaries match. I'm not upset they didn't do it, but man, just imagine if we had, let's just hypothetically, De'Aaron, Tyrese, Rashawn at the 4, you have Vucevic at the 5, who'd you play at the 3? Harkless. I would just want to see it. Maybe I don't think Ross can play, the 3 position, but just, if you look at the, overall final transaction report, they didn't get a whole lot for him. They got the picks, but Wendell Carter's been a bust. Otto Porter's a throw-in. Oh, man. Granted, he's 31. That's why I'm like, okay, Rashawn's 27, Vucevic 31. I'm not mad, but it's like, goodness, they just let him go. I would even been happy for Aaron Gordon in some respects, just to like, why didn't you call Orlando and give them a Bagley and you wouldn't do Bagley and Buddy for Aaron Gordon?
No way. Aaron Gordon's trash. I think the Nuggets lost that trade. I think the Nuggets lost that trade. I don't think they. I like RJ Hampton. I don't think Aaron Gordon is anything he was supposed to be. But I do see your point, Javi. I think I'm not even going to say I'm not sad about it. I am sad about it. I am very disappointed that the Kings did not go out there and get a perennial all-star in Nikola Vucevic when, the opportunity was there on the table. I was breaking it down for Leo in our chat. I was like, dude, Buddy Hield basically the equivalent of Otto Porter. Marvin Bagley is the equivalent of Wendell Carter. We have 2 first-round picks, and then if they even want Rashawn Holmes, because we would have a center in return, they can have him too. So I think those are the types of moves that I would like to see the Kings do. At least obviously it's past now the deadline, but in the future, in order to really show that, we're really going all in. And I'm pretty sure Zach LaVine is really motivated and encouraged when his front office is bringing in a guy like Vucevic. So hopefully we can do the same. Fox can be happy when we bring in another guy like that.
How much scrutiny would it be if McNair let Holmes walk where he could have got value at the deadline today? Imagine how much scrutiny he would be under.
I see this. If they let go of Rashawn, they're going to sign somebody. And I want everybody to key on one player, whether you guys think this is irrational or not. Let's be transparent. I like Kelly Oubre. And if they want to think Marvin,
but they won't have money for him either, though.
If they let go of Rashawn.
No, because they can – no.
All them players they acquired, Leo, three of the 4 are all free agents. The only one that has a contract after this year is DeLon Wright. Harkless, Silva, and the Clippers guy, if not even included I think Davis might even be unrestricted too. Them guys are all coming off the books. Bielisa's off, Parker's off, Whitehead's off. I'm telling you, we gotta just reevaluate with the picks and the players and the price tags of these guys, because what I'm saying is this. I'm just asking you in general sense, is it a transparent way to communicate? Would you be interested in having Kelly Oubre be part of this team in the future if they sign him in?
Absolutely.
Well, he's saying no, like he's hot garbage. Like he's averaging 15 to 5, and he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the Western Conference. I won't say in the league, but he's definitely one of the best in the conference.
But he's up, but he's also down, and so that's why I think that there's a reason why
not consistent.
There's a reason why the Golden State is shopping him too. He's bounced around the league for a few years, and I honestly would rather take Harrison Barnes over Kelly Oubre at this point. I feel like
he's playing on 2 teams, Ty. He's playing on he's only played on the Wizards, and then Phoenix just wanted to let him go because they had to pay Chris Paul. Like, I'm sure if they could redo that equation, they wouldn't let him go. I mean, they could.
Oubre was supposed to come in to Golden State and essentially fill that Klay Thompson role, and obviously,
bro, there's no way he's gonna fill. He's nowhere near Klay Thompson. He was a filler. And he's a filler. No, he's just a filler starter. He's a filler starter. It wasn't like he was going to supplant his greatness. He's like, all right, he can be a productive starter in his league at the 2-guard position. He wasn't like, yeah, you're going to be Klay. You know what I mean?
So
like,
you would, who in terms of bringing Oubre on to Sacramento, who would you be willing to like give up and basically?
I'm saying if we were to get rid of if Rajon doesn't resign or we find a way to trade Buddy. I mean, in the day, I just like the idea because he's a lengthy, young, up-and-coming player in his league. And you might take, hey, he's a defender. We don't play defense in Sacramento. He's 6'7", he's a combo 2-3, and he's 25, averaging 15 and 5. Like, he's not a journeyman. I don't like it because Phoenix was in shambles when he was there. Washington's a horrible franchise. I mean, if Golden State wanted him, he has some value. Whether they're saying they're trying to shop, they're trying to shop him because they know the luxury tax is coming. They know they got to pay Steph, they got to pay Klay, they got to pay Draymond. They have this money allocated to other players to where those dudes combined make roughly $120 million between the three of them. Like, it ain't like if they had the money, they'd be like, yeah, we want you back, but we know the luxury tax is going to kill us come June. Like, I'm not saying he's the end-all be-all. I'm not saying he's Klay Thompson. I'm not saying he's an all-star, but I think he would help us mightily on the defensive end, and he's athletic. Name athletic players you have on this roster right now. And Marvin Bagley's one, and he's always hurt. And I said De'Aaron.
How much would you be willing to pay Kelly Oubre to bring him to Sac?
60 over 4.
15 over 4?
60 over 4.
15
over 15.
Yeah. 15 per.
That's a lot of money, Leo. What do you think about that?
A lot of money? Bro, Corey Joseph got 13. Corey Joseph got 13.
I don't think it's a lot of money. But I don't think it's a little bit of money. That's probably what it would take, 15, 16, to get a guy like Oubre in Sac because of what we know of the Sac, curse, for better or lack, But I like his toughness. Obviously, the fact that he's always bringing that energy. So I understand what Javi is saying, right? Where you can't always just depend on Richaun Holmes to just bring it every night. He is a dog in that sense, but man, like, I'm just tripping off of what this team is right now with the whole salary cap situation, man. Like, I really want to bring on a capologist and just talk about how much money they truly have, because you're saying you would rather let Rajon walk and sign him, Javi? Or are you saying if he walks, you would want to sign him?
I'm saying if he finds a way to, break the bank in free agency, Rajon dips off and gets 100 over 5, like he goes to Charlotte.
Man, he's not. Rashawn's going to get anywhere from 15 to 17.
I'm not saying
per
he's
year.
Not. I'm saying, let's just say worst case scenario, some team just overpays him beyond belief. And we're like, I can't match that. I'm saying, all right, let's go look at option B. Name a free agent center that we're going to go out there to replace him. No, I don't see that. But I do see somebody where we could run Harrison to 4, Oubre to 3 with Buddy. And
so is Bagley your 5? Oh, my God.
Yeah. Listen. Relax.
I don't have
to pay. Well, hold on. Let me finish my point.
Okay, go ahead.
We go find a center in the draft, depending on our pick. We find a way to maybe trade up to get the USC center with the potential player like a Buddy, whatever. Either or we find a lesser like a Plum. Well, I mean, hey man, I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm not saying I want Richaun Holmes to be a king too. I'm just saying. Well, I mean, we're talking about 5 months from now. I'm just saying, like, what if it happened where in July he gets an offer that he's just, I can't turn this down. I can't turn that down. I'm just saying, how do you feel about Kelly Oubre being on the roster? You're saying, no, I'm not going to pay him. Well, I know somebody's going to pay Kelly Oubre, and he ain't on the Warriors starting as a turn 2 guard because he's butt. He's playing as a starting 2 guard because he's good. They would start Poole, Lee, or Wanamaker at the 2 and just ride with it if he was that bad. I mean, you give the fade. At the end of the day, they would start the other 3 guards if he was as bad as you're making it out to be. Like, you're making it seem like he's on, like, some Francisco Garcia hype. Like, no.
I'm not going to say Kelly Oubre is horrible. I just, like, obviously when you bring up Damian Lee and, like, Wanamaker, like, they're not great either, so that's why he's starting over them.
But he's not bad. He would be behind it.
I feel like I'd rather overpay for Richaun Holmes in the 18, even maybe $19 million range than be paying 60 over 4 years for Kelly Oubre. But that's my opinion. How do you feel about that, Leo?
That's interesting, but if
Oubre has better stats.
if the Kings could afford that, which they can't offer Rajon how much money, then
Yeah.
in this hypothetical world, yes, I would prefer to have Rajon at 17, 18, than Oubre at 15, 16, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I want to go over some of DeLon Wright's advanced stats, which is what I was telling you guys in comparison to what Kojo was. And if you look at his BPM, it's a positive 2.8, and his VORP it's a 1.2. Comparisons to Kojo's, which was a minus 3.6 BPM and a minus zero point 0.4 in the VORP department. That just shows you the insane, because it is an insane drastic improvement from Wright to Kojo, an insane upgrade, not just in on the play value, but even from a salary cap perspective, because he's still getting paid less than Kojo. Like, that's really unheard of if you're the Sacramento Kings. So I
Yeah.
give Monty a lot of credit for that. And again, regardless of what we think if a Vec is meddling or not, it's going to come down to the moves that Monty made. And today he made a lot of moves. First big move was letting Bogdanovich walk, which is interesting name. He did not go anywhere. So I don't know if the Warriors try to lowball the Hawks or if the Clippers try to do the same, but he didn't go anywhere. And with this type of play, it's hard to move a guy at $18 million, right? But it's not impossible, because those type of guys, as I said when Ty and I did the podcast yesterday, those guys will always have a place in the NBA. And all it takes is a contender to say, you know what? I'm going to get the best out of this type of guy. So his contract isn't immovable. They can always move him. And if he plays like he did last night, which he put up 20 points against the Kings, he's going to be all right, man. So my point is, you get a guy like Wright with these type of advanced numbers. Even his box score numbers are pretty solid considering that he doesn't play that many minutes. The Kings won big time. And then when you talk about Terence Davis, a sleeper who had a really good rookie year, I had a lot of people who I talked to around the league were really high on him. And then this year, with so much, fluctuating movement with the Raptors losing here, and with COVID and all this stuff with injuries, he hasn't been as consistent. But this is a type of roster where he can really play well. What are your thoughts on those type of numbers, Ty?
I mean, I've always liked DeLon Wright, even when he was back in Utah. I think that obviously advanced metrics go to show that, he offers way more than what Corey Joseph has for us. But yeah, I just think DeLon Wright, his mentality, he's always been a professional, goes into the game and does exactly what he needs to do. I mean, almost in the sense, I wish Halliburton was like big enough to play the three, and then we could even slide DeLon Wright at the two sometimes to play alongside De'Aaron Fox, because I think he's just simply that type of player. And so yeah, moving forward, I'm hoping DeLon Wright can definitely pick up a lot of those minutes and really help this bench squad out when De'Aaron Fox is essentially on the bench.
Yeah, and DeLon Wright, DeLon, he can play. He's gonna play these 3 guard lineups, man, with Tyrese and with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Like, why? How do we know that? Kojo did. So
Too
why
much.
wouldn't DeLon play, who is a better scorer, who's a better playmaker, who can play and guard a lot better than Kojo? Even though Kojo had this insane reputation of being a good defender, which we know what the truth is, he wasn't. Just because you clap hard and you try hard doesn't mean you're a good defender. And I just hate the misconceptions. Even a guy like your boy that everybody loves, Mr. Iman Shumpert,
That's the boy.
he'd clap on the floor like he was like Draymond Green, I'm the best defender ever type thing. And I'm like, bro, you just got blown by anybody. So just because you try hard doesn't mean you're a good defender, man. And Kojo certainly wasn't that anymore. And I can't wait to see what this team is going to be in the next couple of weeks.
I can't wait to see Corey Joseph no longer play for us on a night-in, night-out basis.
So, what are your thoughts, Javi, on pretty much everything that we've said about numbers and DeLon playing in this 3-guard lineup now?
What I'm curious to see is what the NBA protocols of the coronavirus. When are they going to be actually able to take the court any given time in the season? How long is it going to be? Because I want them playing now. I don't think they're going to be able to play against Golden State, but like, are they going to have to wait? Because they're coming from. I mean, a few of them are coming from out the country. They're coming from Toronto. Like, what's that going to be
No,
like?
but they're in Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Yeah.
I forgot they're playing.
Yeah. So I don't know. We saw.
When are they going to be able to play those? What I'm saying.
We
like,
saw.
What's the protocol with that?
We saw what's his name, Gabangeli, right? Cabangeli.
Oh, yeah, he was on the sideline, huh? Yeah,
he was on the sideline already. And now that the Kings are going to need some players tonight, we're probably going to see a lot of Justin James. We're probably going to see, hopefully, some of DeQuan Jeffries. But
he's still on the roster. I feel like he's about to get demoted to the G League.
That's crazy. I know, man. It's
insane. Reassigned.
So
it's
Leo,
insane.
Especially with all these acquisitions, I know the chat's talking about like who we obviously have more players than we're allowed to have. I know you talked about Jabari Parker bought out, Whiteside being bought out. Is there anyone else you think you can see either being demoted to the G League or essentially, being cut and waived?
That's interesting.
Justin James.
I think, Justin James and probably even Ramsey.
Sent back to the G League.
Well, there is no G League, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that, because we know Ramsey's not going to get playing time anymore. So this idea of him getting playing time in his development, the Kings tanking, that's not happening. Even Kyle Guy, he's no longer playing because they have a lot of depth now, something that they didn't have before. So, those are all candidates. I still think they keep Woodward. But yeah, if that kind of answers your question. Hey, Javi, mute yourself, bro. Hey, are you driving?
Can you hear me?
Javi's on the way to talk to McNair right now.
Hey, Javi, call us back, bro. Don't drive, man.
You'll hurt yourself.
It's making too much noise, bro. Did you hear us?
I think he muted himself.
There. Hey.
I was actually on the way to go pick. Hey. No. I'm on the way to go pick up I'm good.
Hey, hang up, bro. Hey, hang up. Like, your Wi-Fi is too bad, bro. It's like it's making too much noises. Let me see if I can get him off.
Is it still now?
Yeah. Just hang up, bro.
All right.
All right. There's too much noise, man. My boy was going to go pick up the new players from the airport. Breaking news, man. No, but for everybody that's watching the stream, we've pretty much gone over a lot of things so far. Make sure you hit the liker, just like there's over 100 people watching, so make sure you hit either or. It helps us out a lot on the YouTube algorithms. And if you haven't dropped a review on iTunes, please do so. That helps us out a lot. We're doing this show for you guys. We're at the 48-minute mark already. I feel like we've been on for like 10 minutes.
I know.
But no, man. Ty, let's talk about other moves. You mentioned the Blazers. I love what they did. Acquiring a dog. I mean, Norman Powell is a dog. They are now big-time sleepers in the Western Conference, man.
And when's Nurkic coming back? Isn't he coming back soon?
And when he comes back, that team is deep.
Dude, I know. And Enes Kanter, I feel like he's not the greatest player in the world, but he fits in that Portland system. I think a lot of just NBA fans in general always undermine the fact that, fit and scheme is such a big part of, just NBA strategy. So I think, having a guy like Enes Kanter either off the bench or maybe even run a little bit of power forward can really help him out there. And obviously Nurkic is just a great center in itself. But I'm checking the chat right now. Shout out to the Filipinos, man. The Filipinos want a shout
Fact.
out. So
Shout out to the
shout out the
Filipinos,
Filipinos,
though.
man.
Shout out to the Filipinos, though.
What were there any other moves around the league that you were pretty either surprised or you liked?
Well, the last move was Victor Oladipo going to the Heat last second. I thought they got a great deal, especially knowing that he probably would have signed with the Heat in the summer because they've had a lot of interest in him. But they say, you know what, let's give a Bradley, who I know that the Heat really like Bradley, but he's been banged up. Super tough player. He'll give his heart out every single night type guy. So it's interesting because it depends on what version you get from Victor Oladipo. But now he's going to a culture that is really strict, a great culture if you want to win basketball games. And if you get 85% of all NBA Victor Oladipo with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, that's a nice team, bro. Like, they always surprise teams in the playoffs, and that's a team that can make some damage, man.
Yeah, I think just like you mentioned, the biggest part of that is the fact he's going to Miami. Such a great culture, and I think you're going to get the best out of Victor Oladipo. I wouldn't be surprised if you even get to see a little bit of all-star form Victor Oladipo, especially when he's not just the main guy, and you got to worry about guys like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, right? And so, man, I was just like Javi said earlier, I was so surprised that essentially Houston just gave him away, and like I don't know if the market for him was really that low, but that was actually really surprising for me.
Let me tell the chat not to text no more because it's making too much noise. Don't text the chat. Don't text the chat anymore because it's making too many ding sounds.
But for everybody watching right now, drop in the chat who you guys liked, what moves, what teams made, what teams basically got fleeced. We want to hear it all. What are you guys thinking?
No, E-Man did not get traded to the Kings Herald. E-Man is like, F-tanking. He's always on Twitter trolling anybody that's on Team Tank. So no, he's like the biggest fan of no tanking, man. So you won't get any of that from E-Man. E-Man is pretty busy right now, but actually we're going to New Orleans for a basketball event next week. So we may have to have a lot of Ty and Javi on the lives. So we'll be in New Orleans from Tuesday through Friday. We fly out Tuesday morning. And yeah, man, it's going to be a cool basketball event that we have over there. But other moves that we should go over, let me look at my timeline and my notes.
What do you think of Fournier?
Who?
Evan Fournier to the Celtics.
Okay, so yeah, so those two guys, Fournier and then Gordon. We kind of touched on Gordon. Both you and I agreed on that one. I was like, man, like I feel like the Nuggets lost, but if they can somehow get the best out of AG, then they could win. But as of today, from what we know and how he's played, I know he's shooting a career high from beyond the arc, but I don't know, man. I'm not convinced on him. Hopefully he proves me wrong, obviously being a local native here. I want him to succeed, make no mistake, but I'm just very skeptical of what he's going to be in a already crowded, team, right? It sounds good, but I don't know. Fournier, Evan is a real solid player. He's so solid, man. I've been a fan of his game for a long time. What he's going to bring to the Celtics is a lot of offensive punch, and they really need that, man.
Yeah, just a solid overall player in Evan Fournier, and I think that you get a little bit of that production from losing Gordon Hayward out. Obviously, I'm not opposed.
Oh, good. All good.
But basically, with that being said, I just feel like, for 2 second-round picks, I was surprised that his market was that low too, especially considering Evan Fournier is about like a 15-point per game scorer. In terms of Aaron Gordon, I think, obviously, I think there's still searching for that production that they're losing out from having Jeremy Grant walk in the offseason. But let's just be honest, Leo. Aaron Gordon is not no Jeremy Grant, and I don't think he gets anywhere near similar production to Jeremy Grant. But hey, who knows? I could be wrong. Aaron Gordon's still a young prospect, so
Yeah,
hopefully
he's young, and I do understand your your example that you just used is that he's an athlete. Like, people say, oh, he's this amazing athlete, but he's not twitchy like that. Like, Jeremy Grant is twitchy. He can move side to side really well. This guy is more of a powerful athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a guy, at least from what I've seen, that can really like move well and is a twitchy athlete. He's a very powerful vertical jumper, but is that going to translate into this type of role that the Nuggets are looking for him to fill in void of a guy like Jeremy Grant, who really understood his role? Is AG going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to come in and just be a regular role player? Like, he literally has to understand, accept that role, and excel in that role for the Nuggets to be contenders. So
yeah.
I know there's a lot of excitement. On paper, it looks really good, really good. But how is it going to translate on the floor, man? We just don't know. Did Terrence Ross get traded, by the way?
I do not think so. I haven't heard
That's
anything.
That's funny because he was like,
people,
means they might unload the truck. LOL.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people in the chat are talking about the Bulls just got Daniel Tice from Mo Wagner. So I guess their Bulls are, really going all in here.
They really are. Now, is that enough for the Bulls to contend and make some noise, or are they just making the playoffs, in your opinion?
I think they're just making the playoffs.
Okay.
I mean, what I would like to see is just Zach LaVine just go off and get a little bit more respect around the league. I think he's definitely one of the most underrated shooting guards, and he's just an overall scorer. I mean, I forgot what game it was when their last coach, where he basically like waved off his last coach, was like, nah, I'm just shooting it, and then he like shot it from half court and just like, he's a bucket, man. You can't deny that he's a bucket, and so I'm just glad that he has a couple more pieces around him to help him out.
So yeah, man, I think we're gonna end it here. Might have a show later tonight. We might have, not might, it's going to happen with Drake Huey, front office member of the Sacramento Kings from last year, under Vlade Divac. Very smart guy, played professionally in Australia. He's a hooper, man. And we're going to have his expertise on. Probably drop some Vivek knowledge as well and see what the culture was while he worked there. It'll be interesting to see that. I think we've had a positive discussion. Lots of good moves from the Sacramento Kings. We appreciate every single person watching, commenting. Make sure you hit the like or dislike. We really appreciate all the support, y'all. And on behalf of Ty and Javi, we'll see you guys tonight. Thank you, guys. Peace.